project that Donald Trump will become the 47th President of the United States.
Trump's re-election wasn't just another victory, it was the start of something far bigger. Behind the scenes, a bold and controversial plan is unfolding, one that could reshape America as we know it. It's called Project 25, a strategy to overhaul the government, redefine the economy, and take the culture wars to the next level. Thousands of jobs on the line, federal agencies dismantled, power shifted in ways you've never imagined. Is this the reset America needs, or the beginning of something much darker? Let's break it down, piece by piece, because what's coming will change everything.
Episode 1, The Aftermath of Trump's Re-Election. Donald J. Trump has returned to the Oval Office. His second term brings more than just the promise of continuity, it introduces a radical plan to reshape America's government and future. This plan, known as Project 25, is not just a roadmap, it's a manifesto for the conservative vision of America First. So what exactly is Project 25? Designed by the Heritage Foundation and other conservative think tanks, it aims to overhaul the federal government, targeting everything from environmental policies to public education. With over 900 policy recommendations, its ambitions are massive, replacing 50,000 federal employees, cutting funding for progressive programs, and consolidating power in the executive branch. Supporters call it a necessary correction to decades of bureaucratic inefficiency. Critics, however, describe it as a dangerous consolidation of power. One Heritage Foundation report boldly states, "This is our moment to restore government to the people." But opposition voices warn, this isn't about restoration, it's about control. A key aspect of the project? Slashing 30% of the Environmental Protection Agency's budget and removing climate-focused programs. Trump's administration argues this will save billions of taxpayer dollars. Environmental advocates fear it will exacerbate the climate crisis. In the coming months, Americans will witness sweeping changes in how their government operates. The question is, will these changes improve their lives or erode foundational institutions? This is just the beginning. In our next episode, we'll dive into the cultural battles and economic shifts that could define the next decade. Episode 2, Cultural Battles and Economic Shifts. America's culture wars are heating up, and Project 25 puts them on the front lines. Public education is a key target. Under Trump's second term, federal funding for schools may now hinge on teaching what the administration calls patriotic curricula. This means a greater focus on traditional American values and less emphasis on topics like systemic racism and gender diversity. Critics warn this could erase vital narratives from history education. Supporters see it as a necessary step to reclaim America's cultural identity. Trump himself declared, "Our children will no longer be taught to hate their country." Federal funding for diversity initiatives is also under threat. Over $10 billion could be redirected from public schools to private and charter school voucher programs, sparking fierce opposition from teachers' unions. Beyond education, Trump's economic policies double down on familiar territory: tax cuts and deregulation. Corporate taxes could fall to 15%, which Trump argues will supercharge economic growth. Meanwhile, federal drilling permits in fossil fuel projects are expected to expand by 40%, potentially creating 500,000 jobs. But there's a catch. Economists warn that such policies could widen income inequality and deepen America's dependence on outdated energy systems. Environmentalists caution that prioritizing fossil fuels risks leaving the U.S. behind in the global shift toward renewable energy. As cultural and economic policies intertwine, the stakes for America's future couldn't be higher. And the global ramifications? They're just as profound. In our next episode, we'll explore how Trump's second term is reshaping America's place on the world stage. Episode 3, America's Global Gambit. America's foreign policy under Trump's second term is defined by one word: dominance. Project 25 lays out an aggressive strategy to assert American power, often at the expense of multilateral cooperation. Military spending is projected to hit $1 trillion annually, with a focus on expanding nuclear capabilities and space defense. Trump's administration calls this peace through strength. Critics warn it risks escalating tensions with rivals like China and Russia. The administration's trade policies are also returning to the spotlight. Tariffs on Chinese goods are expected to increase by 30%, while trade agreements with European allies may be renegotiated. Trump argues this will protect American jobs and industries, but retaliatory tariffs from China could cost U.S. farmers $20 billion annually. On the international stage, Trump's America First strategy has alienated allies and emboldened adversaries. A foreign policy expert recently noted, this go-it-alone approach risks isolating America at a time when global challenges require collective action. The Israel-Hamas conflict. As the Israel-Hamas war continues to dominate headlines, Trump's second term brings a reinforced commitment to America's strongest ally in the Middle East. The administration has pledged unprecedented military and intelligence support to Israel, framing its actions as a defense of democracy in a volatile region. Trump has reiterated that Israel's right to exist and defend itself against terror is non-negotiable. While critics argue this approach could escalate tensions, supporters point to the long-standing alliance and Israel's role as a stabilizing force in the region. Enhanced U.S. backing for Israel could reshape the broader Middle East, potentially isolating Iran while strengthening regional coalitions like the Abraham Accords. The Ukraine conflict. Trump's approach to the ongoing war in Ukraine is expected to shift dramatically. While the previous administration under Biden focused on supplying arms and aid, Trump's stance favors direct negotiation with Vladimir Putin, aiming for what he calls a quick and fair resolution. Critics fear this could mean scaling back support for Ukraine, potentially undermining its fight for sovereignty. However, Trump has hinted at leveraging economic and energy deals to incentivize a ceasefire, positioning America as the ultimate deal-maker on the global stage. Whether this approach strengthens peace or weakens Ukraine remains one of the most critical questions of the term. America's global role is changing rapidly under Trump's leadership. For supporters, it's a long overdue return to strength, cutting through what they see as unnecessary diplomacy and wasteful foreign aid. For critics, it's a retreat from the collaborative leadership that has defined U.S. global influence for decades. Will this shift secure America's dominance or diminish its influence in an increasingly interconnected world? One thing is certain: the decisions made over the next 4 years will shape not only the United States, but the global order for generations. This isn't just politics. It's the beginning of a new chapter in history. The world is watching, and the stakes couldn't be higher.